Hello, guys.
So
Welcome. I think, let me know, Jez, can you log on to Twitch for a second to see if you can see us? Or if anyone's in chat at the moment, can you let me know? I think
alright,
there's no delay.
I think it looks fine. I'm larger on the cam. I'm like on the top of the overlay.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So I just do it because, yeah, I think that's the easiest way to do it. Yeah, cheers, guy. Yeah, so, I don't know. Aaron, what have you been, how's Sydney, dude? Is it normal now? Like,
Dude, everything's like normal. People going outside. Like I'm
really?
playing basketball with randoms. There's
Oh,
not really
dude.
like, I mean, social distancing is still a thing. Like
Yeah,
everyone's
yeah,
like wearing masks and stuff on
yeah,
public transport.
yeah.
But
Is
yeah,
there like,
like
do you have to wear a mask outside at the moment? Or?
you don't have to,
Yeah,
but a lot of people do.
yeah, yeah.
Like I
No,
don't I personally don't really wear a mask
yeah.
because like, I just don't really see much of a benefit.
No way, dude. It's definitely.
Like I mean,
Yeah.
if I get COVID, I get COVID.
I mean, that's
Whatever.
true. You sort of live. That's true. You don't live with your family or anything that bad. Yeah. But yeah, we've been like it's been pretty bad here. We've been in lockdown since
Mm,
like March, I think. So it's
yeah,
been over 6 months, and only recently, like, yeah, you can't even leave like more than 5 kilometers out your house. Like, we couldn't,
yeah.
if we wanted to play basketball as a house, we couldn't even do that either. We can only live
Yeah.
with one other person. So like Jez, Ricky, and I would go outside, and I would exercise opposite the basketball court in the park whilst
Okay.
they were playing basketball.
So you can't like join them.
No, you can't. But then,
Okay.
but it's really stupid because like we're a household, right? So
Yeah.
the rules aren't. They don't make. They're not like consistent.
Yeah.
So
So like you would get fined if
yeah,
you were playing with them.
yeah. But it's so stupid because we live together. So like, I mean, yeah. Even like with but then like for example, personal trainers, they're allowed to have two people. But like, as I'm doing Muay Thai at the moment, just started.
Hmm.
I
Well,
asked.
how's the prop that?
Nah, dude, it's bad. I'm gonna get beat up, man. So for you guys who don't know, at the start of the year, I did an MMA prop bet with another poker player, and we both have zero fighting experience. And obviously, this was before Corona or anything started. So I did Muay Thai for about like months, I think, maybe yeah, about 2 months, and then like lockdown actually properly started, and then I sort of fell off the training schedule. But I did my first session actually yesterday. So yeah, hoping to get back into it. I
Yeah.
think I actually haven't talked about if the fight's still going on because it's meant to be in 3 months.
Mm,
But at this rate, like I don't even know if we can.
yeah.
But I've seen you've been doing
I've
boxing,
probably I've
Aaron.
been doing
You've
more
been doing
boxing
yeah,
than you
you're doing
probably.
boxing. Yeah, yeah. Are you doing that every
Yeah.
week or?
Well, I do it every Sunday,
Yeah,
so I'm like proper like we do some spars at the start
yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh shit! So
with like headgear and
you've been
stuff.
fighting people.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Aaron, we should book a fight
There's
prop
some.
between. We should book a fight prop, dude.
Well, I mean I don't I'm kind of capped, right? I'm only doing boxing. I don't
Yeah.
have any kicks. I don't know how to do takedowns.
Yeah,
So
yeah. No, I've done no groundwork yet because like you can't even. So I wanted to do the jiu-jitsu, but like
yeah,
no gyms are allowed to be open. Gyms don't
right.
open until like at the earliest like November. So
Yeah.
I have
Find
like
a way to get into Sydney, and then you can
yeah, dude.
train
Actually,
wherever you
yeah,
like.
yeah.
All the gyms are like open.
Oh, really? What the hell? So you can do like
Yeah.
like you can do fighting, as in like your boxing coach doesn't have to socially
Well,
distance.
I don't do it in a gym. I do it in
Yeah,
a park.
yeah, yeah. Oh, it's
Yeah.
maybe I should. Maybe I should try to find a way to get it. If I swear, if Melbourne continues to be unlocked, and I've heard people going to Queens, they can just go. And
Yeah. Just
uh,
sneak out of
no, no, I
Melbourne.
think it's like you
Yeah.
just have to have a like a reason that's like something legitimate. I need to get, dude.
Okay.
So I did baseline testing. My fitness is bad at the moment.
Yeah.
Get back on track with that.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Cool.
let's. I think we should start. It's 2 o'clock.
Yeah. Hmm.
Hey guys, for you, maybe you can give a intro. Guess
So,
who you are?
guys. So, as you all know, I used to stream a lot more regularly on Twitch. Used to play 200Z and 500Z on stream. Now I probably try to do about once a week or every 2 weeks. At the moment, I'm still a professional poker player, but I'm focusing more on running a stable, coaching other players, and also a bit of sports betting. So you'll still see me playing like in the 500Z pool a bunch of the time, all the way up to like this year I've played up to 50, 100 at one point,
Holy shit,
but
you
that
played
didn't
50.
go.
Played 50.
Yeah,
Oh, I think I
50,
actually.
100.
I think I was sweating that. I think I actually
Yeah.
was. Yeah.
So I played that for a bit, and then
Yeah.
the games don't like run anymore. So I'm kind
Yeah.
of like,
Yeah.
yeah, ran bad back to grinding 500 and 1K.
Well, that's yeah. How many
Like
hours? Like how many hours a week do you play at poker right now?
probably around like 15.
Oh, that's
So
that's still kind
mainly
of
on
lot.
the
Yeah.
weekend, you know, like
Yeah.
you get the 20 grind on like PP poker and
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
whatnot.
Oh shit! So
But
you
like
still
cash
yeah.
games.
Okay, no, that's cool. And then with your stable and everything, are you mainly coaching them for cash or for MTTs? Like, what are you doing?
So I'd say it's like a bit of both. I'd say like 70% cash, 30%
Yeah.
tournaments.
Yeah.
And tournaments have been going pretty well. Cash is kind of like, slow. But
Yeah. Oh,
that's
really?
how it is.
Yeah. I think with twenties, like I stake people for like I have a few for both cash and twenties. Twenties are like so like you can go on such long downswings.
You
It's
can downswing, like you're like slowly bleeding and
yeah,
then
yeah,
you just spink. But like
yeah,
during COVID,
yeah,
everyone like ran pretty good.
yeah. That's true. Yeah, the tournaments were crazy. Like during COVID, it was like tournament prize pools and like just like the fields were like insane. But yeah, that's true. It's true. Um, so I got a couple of questions here. So currently, oh, you said you also do some sports betting.
Yep.
As a fellow sports bettor myself, I guess
hmm
how'd you get into sports betting? Like, what do you?
Well, so I heard about you guys doing sports betting when I met you guys in Melbourne, you and Daniel,
Yeah,
and kind of just like asked you guys a bunch of questions. You showed me a bit about what you guys were doing, and then we ended up like spending more time thinking about how we could improve that process, right? And that's how you guys met Ricky as well, and then now you guys are living together.
yeah.
So originally, I was gonna like move down to Melbourne, but
Oh shit, we
I
were actually
ended
meant
up,
to. Yeah, we were meant to live
yeah,
together
deciding
actually.
not to do
Yeah.
that, and
Yeah.
gladly so, because now it's just much better being in Sydney at this time.
Yeah. You actually ran. Okay, so like I think we've moved in, we've lived together for what is it? It's October now. It's almost a year now. I think the first
Yeah.
3 months were amazing. Like it was just awesome. Like we were going to the Crown, playing cash, we were playing online, we were playing tournaments, we were traveling together. It was all good. And then once Corona
Yeah.
happened,
It was just like,
yeah, no, fair enough. So what are you? How many hours do you sports at the moment? Like,
so I do it every Saturday.
yeah,
So I'm actually running a webinar on Saturday,
yeah.
going and teaching people how to bet on horse racing.
Yeah. Oh, so you
Yeah.
mainly doing the like the
I mainly
promos?
do the Saturday. I'll also do some evenings. I'll do greyhounds on
Yeah.
on like Friday
Yeah.
or Thursday.
Yeah. Do you reckon so maybe for the people who don't understand how the horse racing and greyhound promos work, maybe you just give a quick rundown. And I wanted to ask you a couple of questions on that actually.
Yeah, sure. So usually on Saturday, they give refunds if your horse runs second or third. And there's actually ways to like make money and take advantage of this like promotion. But obviously, there's still a process behind all of it. You still have to like decide which horse to like bet on. And what I'm basically showing people is like, all right, like what I'm betting on like during the session. So like each race, like there's certain horses that are gonna make you more money or less money depending on like what the odds you're getting are.
Yeah.
And yeah, like the promotion has a big effect on it. Basically makes it like a profitable bet instead of like a losing bet.
Yeah. So I guess the question I have is, what do you like? Your alley must be really high playing poker. So why do you choose to horse race on Saturday? I mean, obviously, horse racing I think is like the alley is quite good. But I would imagine you'd make like if you're playing like really high stakes. I imagine.
Well, I mean, at the moment, I am focused more on like helping other people make money. That's why I'm running like a webinar.
Yeah.
And because I already make enough money, like I don't actually have to work at the moment. I can just like fuck around and play basketball.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Yeah. Oh, so you just
So
enjoy
I just enjoy like helping other people make money.
Yeah.
That's why I kind of got into coaching as well.
Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, because I mean, like, I think, the EV on a Saturday, because I stopped doing horses, but when I was doing it, is there a rough? I was actually gonna answer that question. Just said cheesy. The rough EV on a Saturday, I think, is about like $300 to $400. So let me think about this. So how many races are there? How many races are there now?
So I mean, like a lot of the time depends on like how many bookmakers you have access to.
Yeah, I was gonna.
Right?
Yeah, so I was gonna.
If you've
break
got
that
like
down.
4 bookmakers and you're running a 50 promo race,
Yeah.
and you're ROIing like 20%, like you're like for every $50 that you put in, you're getting like 10.
Yeah, I actually calculate it's
Right.
$12.50, and
So
I have
you
this.
you can make like 40 per race.
Yeah, sure.
On 4 books, right? And then like how many races are there? Like 20 promo races?
Are there? I don't. Yeah, I was just going to ask you because I haven't done this in a while. So it's actually about $12 a race. If you do it.
Yeah. Depends how well you convert the bonus.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. And then how many races do they offer this promo on now? Is it 20? Seems. Did that actually?
It's like 18.
Oh, really?
Some sites do even more. So some sites just like every single race.
Holy shit!
Venues, you're just like, what the fuck?
Okay, so there's way more than like. It's like, so what? That's like $50 a book. Holy shit! So you make like almost $1,000. So okay.
It's worth it. You make like $1,000 in EV. That's just the promo races.
Yeah.
We're doing other stuff as well. We're betting on non-promo races.
Yeah. That's interesting because like I actually stake people who do horse. So I stake people who do Saturday racing, but I actually don't. I haven't looked into it myself because it's just like
Right. Yeah.
So obviously, as you know, one of the downfalls of doing this is you eventually will get banned, and then that has like fall-on effects on other stuff. So I just personally haven't been doing it because I want my accounts to be betting on like other markets, and but then obviously like it all depends on like what markets you have available to make money on, etc. I still think horses is one of the best ways to make money.
It's easily like the simplest thing you can teach.
Oh, 100%.
So like, let's say I'm betting on NBA or like esports, right? I do bet on those as well.
Yeah.
And I do make a lot of money off those, but I would say the barrier to entry into horse racing is just much lower.
Oh, 100%, dude.
It's much bigger though.
Yeah, for sure. So are you still currently like actively betting on NBA?
Yeah, I mean we've been doing NBA over here, like
yeah. Are you betting on mains?
I'm not sure if you guys have been doing, but like I know you guys have gotten into like NRL and like
AFL. So Daniel's been doing AFL. I've been doing quite well in it, and Ricky and Jez have been doing a lot of NRL work. Just have a quick look at the chat. Tuesday I've loaded on tomorrow, ready to go hard. Home. Can't have it wait. Going to need to put $1,000 on each account probably. Book Japanese barbecues. Oh, dude, you better have a winning session, Aaron, because Mickey's booked in Japanese.
Yeah, Mickey has booked in.
So it's getting banned from abusing pro carry other pro. So it depends on what bookie you're on. So I think some bookies just blanket promo ban you. Actually, most bookies do that. If you're promo banned, they'll just promo ban you across the board. But then there are certain bookies that once you're promo banned, you might actually not be able to put liquid other markets. Not many bookies do this, but I guess I'm assuming you cover like how to mug bet and stuff.
Yeah. So I mean, with the racing promos, you get a bonus bet back if it gets second or third.
Yeah.
How you convert it can have an impact on how your account looks.
Yeah. Okay, no, that makes sense.
And if you're also betting on races outside of like the promotion races, then it just looks like you're just like you're not even aware that there's a promo. That's kind of how it looks like.
No, for sure. Yeah. And that's interesting. No, it's good. I rate that because I actually think like I always like, for those of you guys who watch my stream, when people ask how to get into sports betting, I always say like start off doing horse racing promos. Yeah. That's cool. I guess are you planning on moving more into the content space for sports betting, or like are you? Yeah,
I would say like right now I'm spending more time like thinking about how I can create content to help other people.
Yeah.
Because like when you look at like most gamblers, like I'd have to say most people are just losing money gambling.
No, that's a very.
If you can just stop people from having like as big losses, even like you don't even have to teach them to win, just like lose less, right?
Yeah. That's a really interesting. You don't even teach them. You don't even have to teach them how to win, just to lose. No, that's
Like if you enjoy having a punt on a Saturday on
Yeah,
horses,
yeah.
at least like do it in a way where you're not like torching money.
No, that's actually a really good way of plugging your product. Like if you don't want to,
Like
if you want to lose less.
I'm teaching you guys how to actually win, bro.
Yeah,
So,
no, that's true.
like because I do this shit for a living, so I
Yeah.
might as well teach you to
Yeah.
win rather than not to lose.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. That's true. That's true. Okay. Quick read. Does getting banned from a big day tomorrow? All right, Mickey, calm down. Don't lose too much money tomorrow, or I guess make lots of money. But
Yeah.
I'm sure Aaron will.
I'll keep you in check.
Yeah, yeah. So where can people very quickly? Where can people find? I guess if they want to also do this course, where can people find?
I'll just post a link. Maybe it won't work. We'll see.
It says stop posting links. Warning. Nah, can other people see? I can see
You just
that.
have to allow the link.
Yeah, I think I think it's allowed. Yeah, sure. Okay, cool. Yep, cool. So if anyone is interested in doing that, check it out. If you're new to sports betting and want to find a way to get in, I'm assuming the way that Aaron's teaching it, it's definitely profitable by reducing variance. I'm assuming you're limiting the downside, so you're just ensuring that there is. Okay, yeah, cool. So if you want to make some money, check out the link then, because I'm assuming that I do the same. I used to do the same thing. It's actually not a bad hourly, and it's well worth it. Like I mean, even like you'll make that money back in EV in a day, and you can do that every week. So yeah, let's move on to let's have a look. Oh, I actually skipped this part. I actually don't know this part. How did you end up being a poker player? Like, tell me how you ended up going from running against micros to fucking playing 50, 100 over like the summer.
So, first time I ever played poker, it was during lunchtime in the library with some friends.
When was this? What year was it?
This was like in year 12, right?
Year 12. So, okay, yeah. The 2000.
So we were like of legal age technically, but you shouldn't really be gambling in the school.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
So we were kind of just like, oh yeah, it's just like for fun.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, so you didn't play for money? You just played like Sit N Gos or whatever.
Well, yeah, we were just like doing like a Sit N Gos / like 20, prize pool,
Yeah. No, that's how it always starts. That's how it always works. Like everyone puts in $5, and you guys like, yeah. And then I guess
so I ended up like first time ever playing. I ended up like just bluffing people off hand, and I was like, oh shit, this is good. I have like skill for this. I can talk people into folding.
Yeah.
Right, and then. After that, we ended up like playing home games after school for like $20 buy-ins, and I ended up doing like pretty well in that. Like when you're playing against like that level of competition where no one has any clue what they're doing, you're just like never losing, right?
Well, then you're also new too, though. So it like, do you know what I mean? You also like obviously now if you were to go into that game, that's true. But like back then,
like back then, like. It's like everyone just limps and sees a flop. All you have to do is like wait for a value hand and put a lot of money in.
Yeah. No, I get
like
that.
I remember like check raising all in for like 20 times the pot and just getting snapped. By, like a non-nut hand, like a one hand. Like
over betting since fucking 2012.
Because I was just like, I'll just put them all in like really quickly, and you might think I'm bluffing. Even though it's like. Entire stack.
So how long did you play this? I guess so. You started playing live, and then I guess.
So I started playing live. I found out about online. This was also during high school, by the way.
Yeah.
So I had turned 18 by this time.
Yeah.
I ended up signing up for a PokerStars account.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Putting like $50 on playing like 2NL in the middle of like biology class.
Yeah. Oh, did you just grind
on, like the iPad? Yeah.
Oh my god, that is so degen.
Yeah.
I guess
that's how it all started.
Yeah. And then did you at what point did you realize like holy shit I can actually make like a lot of money? Like
well, like when I started out I was like pretty like now looking back at it I was pretty shit at the game. Like I was still doing all right. Like I was definitely like losing online player at 2NL for quite a bit.
yeah. That's actually that's a very interesting thing to think about. At one point you were losing at 2NL.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, and I guess how did you just kept grinding?
Yeah, I just kept grinding. I learned more about strategy, did a lot of research because if I want to get good at something, I always spend time just like looking through, how do other people do it. So spend a lot of time, when you start, you're just watching like Poker After Dark or something.
Yeah.
Watching Daniel Negreanu
Yep,
and
that's
Tom
it. That's the
John
one.
battle it
Dude,
out.
I think I've watched every single YouTube video that like poker related YouTube video that exists. Like you just quote a hand and I'll be like, yep, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I remember that Lex Veldhouse hand
Oh, I
where
just
he's got like King Jack suited and Ivy just like
oh
rips on him.
yeah, it's like I thought you were just angry at him. I was angry at him. So I guess like when did you start playing like quote unquote professional?
So I didn't become really like a pro until probably like second year, end of second year in university.
Yeah. So when was 2000 and what?
Yeah.
2018, 2017?
Well, yeah, probably somewhere around that.
Yeah.
Like 4 or 5 years ago.
Oh shit. Okay, that was even before then. Okay,
like when I was 9, so like 5 years ago, I'd say.
Yeah.
Around this time, yeah. So I ended up getting like coaching. So got coached by Bencb, who was doing a coaching for profits deal with him.
Yeah.
And when I started that deal, I was just like, all right, I'll just like restart again, play like $1.50 hyper Sit N Gos,
right? Yeah.
And just like grind it up from there.
Yeah.
At this point, like I was still just going through uni, so it was like more of a part-time thing. Even though I was like part-time, I still ended up probably doing like 30 hours a week of poker.
Yeah. So I actually find CFP really interesting. So maybe I'm assuming most people don't understand how CFP works. Maybe just give a quick rundown about what it is.
Basically, you sign a contract, you give away half of your profits.
Yeah.
And so like you're playing off your own bankroll in like CFP.
Oh really? So I thought they stake you in CFP. Like they just get...
like sometimes they're staking. Like so, what I do right now is I usually do some kind of staking plus coaching deal with a lot of my horses.
Yeah.
So they get stakes and they get coached, and if they win money, they get to like move up.
Yeah. Okay, it's really interesting.
So that's a bit better than what I had. Like I played off my own bankroll and I split profits. So I had a bit of trouble like moving up because like I'd have to win basically double the amount of buy-ins that I'm supposed to like, move up.
But that means like the coach sort of free rolls you, no? Because like essentially like they have no downside and they only have upside, so they can just take on as many.
kind of. But I mean, like it makes sense, right? Like if I'm coaching someone, like my hourly that I'm going to charge him is going to be around 300.
Yeah.
If a micro guy wants coaching from me, I'm trying to invest in them long term because I'm not getting any hourly. I could just use that to coach someone for hourly instead of coaching some random for free.
Yeah.
So there's like risk on both sides. Like on one hand, like if I'm doing CFP, I'm giving up my time for someone else, and I might not get anything back. Right? They might just like get coaching from me and just perma lose, and they'll never.
And how does results work? Do you just... It's obviously it can't be just trust, right? There has to be like, how do you track everything?
Oh, there was a system for like tracking results. So like every day you would like fill in like your like playing history. Like you'd put in what your bankroll was on each side. You have to take like screenshots every now and then.
That's interesting.
Like, get audited. So there was like a process behind all of that.
No, that makes sense because I mean I stake people. I do it. Apps, which is just way you can see like the numbers are a lot. The order trailers.
Like I agree. Like a lot of my staking also on apps. Apps are generally like softer than like main sites anyway, so it's just like easier to stake people on apps.
Can we talk about cash?
Talk about cash. The Sit N Gos. Well, Sit N Gos are dead, right?
Oh, they're dead. Do you reckon they're
like? There's some places where you can play, but you're kind of capped if you're going down the Sit N Go route. So if you're going to go down the Sit N Go route, you might have to like play spins, right? Spins are still okay. You can make money off spins, but it's really like a grind.
Why are Sit N Gos like why are they dead now? Like are they solved or?
Well, so back then, like you used to get rake back. On Poker Stars or like Party Poker or whatever, and there was a lot of volume. So let's say you're playing $100 hyper Sit N Gos and you're on like 40% rake back. Right. So every like just for playing Sit N Go, you get money back.
Yeah, sure.
And now if you play a sit and go, you're not really getting that back. You actually need to be like winning in terms of ROI.
Yeah.
So back then you could be a losing like player like pre-rake and just
Yeah.
print off rake
Right.
back.
Yeah, and just growing volume. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and the variance is also just like completely ridiculous.
Is it worse? Is it worse than MTTs?
So like when I first started,
Yeah.
I instantly ran 150 binds on the EV.
Holy shit! Yeah. How many get? Yeah. How many? What was the sample?
And this was over like 2K sit and goes.
Oh shit! Yeah.
So
That's pretty soul crushing.
Yeah.
How do you actually calculate? Oh, okay. Yeah. You just.
so you just looked at your like all in EV, whatever, right?
Yeah. And that makes
And
sense.
you can see how that is. But yeah, like
Yeah.
that was a good chance I wouldn't have become a poker pro because
shit!
of how bad I ran.
Yeah. Rakeback must be a pretty important part. Dude, rakeback is an important part of everything. Like if you're playing anything online now, I think it's pretty important. Just because like it forms a large part of your win rate. I don't really personally play too much online, but I've seen the numbers and I think it's pretty. Get angry, getting stuck by some fish for $200. I don't know, guys. Oh,
sports betting, like you can be way more detached than poker.
Oh, 100%.
That's one of the easier things with sports betting and why I want to like teach it more. Because with poker, the guys I'm coaching, the horses, like there's a lot of mental game involved.
Yeah.
With sports betting, it's a lot more simple. It's like, all right, this is your bankroll management. This is how much you're gonna bet on.
Yeah.
Like,
no, it's because like I've thought about this a lot and I've talked to people because I've staked both sports bettors and poker players. With sports betting, once you've placed a bet, it's out of your control. But with poker, you make every decision, and then like once you've made a decision, like you just like if you make a wrong decision, it's super tilting. With sports betting, if you run bad, it's just like there's not much you can do because it's just the event. But I mean, John says you can't get tilted. You can't get tilted from sports. So
you definitely. AD like shoots a.
Oh, dude, I saw that. Actually, so I was turning around, I was watching Jez. Jez had money on the fucking Nuggets, and they just shot that, and we were just like, "Wow, that really just happened." Yeah, that's just.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at. Oh yeah, traveling and playing live poker. I know you. Like last year, that's how we met. Like, you sort of started traveling more, playing live poker, which I sort of. What are your? Because I do it because I enjoy it. I don't know how profitable, how expensive.
So I think expenses will dig a lot into your profits.
Yeah.
But as long as you're putting in enough volume, like each trip, you'll easily be able to cover expenses and more.
Yeah.
So like it's a bit of like if you were to really like become a full-time pro, like you probably need a decent bankroll to like do the whole traveling thing, or you need to like have a backer. It is hard to make it like playing live tourneys, like traveling around for a living, unless you do have the bankroll to fire like 1Ks and 500s. Because you can't do it like playing. The buy-ins aren't very like small. You need to have the right bankroll. You need to cover expenses. There's a lot of variance as well because you're only going to be playing a small sample of 20s.
Yeah. So do you reckon like I mean I guess in today's tournament, like live tournament, what's a reasonable ROI? Like if you're just to say you're a good reg. What do you think?
I mean, depends on like which country you're in. I'd say like if you're grinding like an Asia circuit, right? A good reg will be making like over like 60% ROI.
Yeah.
Right, like I reckon in Asia I'm like 100% ROI.
Yeah, I mean in Vietnam, I've played poker in Vietnam. It's it's pretty well. I've actually I've played it twice. I've gone to 2 circuits in Vietnam now. Can confirm that it's actually getting kind of like the second time I went, it was kind of reggy. Like there were a lot of like European people there. So but yeah, it was really soft. But
depends on like where you go, what time of year as well. So like if you are a live reg that plays like circuits, I would recommend like if you just want some low variance money, don't go to fucking WSOP in Vegas.
Yeah. Oh, do you reckon it's really
like Vietnam when everyone's in Vegas because there's like no crushes there.
No, dude. So like I remember, so I went to Vietnam. I played the high roller, 3K high roller, and there were like 10 entries, and like half of them were like Dude, there were Aussie regs. It was like
Yeah.
Vincent, like Hamish, like all those guys, and they're just like infinite fire. So like,
Yeah.
I guess like it is like the fields are really small there for the higher buy-in events, and like if it's the same regs, just because they have unlimited rebuys, and I know especially in Vietnam where it's like it's incentivized that you rebuy because they tax you on net profits.
Yeah.
So like every time you lose,
So you just fire again.
you want to fire again because your net.
Tax,
Yeah, correct, for tax purposes. So it's like I don't know. I guess it is really soft in some. I've been to Cambodia to play and stuff, but like I guess it's hit and miss from my experience.
Mhm.
Yeah, I want to go to WSOP next year. Like I know I am going to WSOP next year if all this clears because I got a ticket there.
Yeah.
Do you think it's like really? Like, I've never been, so
I haven't been either, so
Yeah.
I wouldn't know. But I would assume that the games are like gonna be pretty decent because
Yeah.
there's like
decent
there's
as in like
massive
soft,
fields.
like soft, or
There's well, you'll play against some good players, but the fields are so big that you shouldn't really have trouble with most of the field
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
you have people who aren't actually professionals just
Yeah.
go and play it for like the experience.
Yeah,
Right?
sure. Yeah. Dude,
So
let's
it
go.
ends up,
Let's go, man. I know Daniel would be down. Like, if I asked Daniel to come, 100% he'd come to Vegas.
yeah.
And we
I
should
mean, we'll see how COVID looks
Yeah,
like,
for
by
sure.
the end of the
Yeah.
year.
Yeah, maybe we'll actually do a big grindhouse and we just like do like that's actually one of my dreams. Just fuck off to Vegas and
then
just like punt.
Hunt on NBA.
Yeah, dude. Think about how many lines you could bet, and apparently in Vegas you can like it's infinite. You can bet whatever you want on the lines, and they don't really care. So, I mean, yeah. So I guess are you gonna like?
It's a plan somewhere down the line.
Yeah.
At the moment, I'm not really too focused on like the whole traveling and live aspect of it. I did it. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I'll probably continue doing it in the future.
Yeah.
But yeah, right now for me, I just want to focus on getting more content out there and helping more people.
No, that's fair. All right. So I guess yes, that leads me to a really interesting question. COVID's effect on poker. So obviously we're on the tail end of this, but how would you say your past? Because my past 6 months of playing poker has been like completely different. It's been crazy.
Right.
But I guess you played a lot more poker than I have. You've coached people. What do you think? Like, how do you think COVID's affected the poker ecosystem? And do you think like this will continue as more people are like? There's way more people on apps now. There's like more people playing online. Like, how do you think the life of online poker is looking?
Yeah, so I think it's kind of good and bad. Like good short term in terms of like games being really soft.
Yeah.
But bad in terms of like all the fish just like losing all their money really quickly because now there's all of these like big guaranteed tourneys.
Yeah.
Like, all the prize pools and everything were kind of temporarily inflated.
Yeah. Also, you don't reckon like the cash?
I don't think it's sustainable.
Yeah.
I know like looking at the numbers like week in week out that like the games are in decline again and they're probably going to be worse than before COVID.
Oh, you reckon they're going to be worse than before? I disagree with that, Aaron, because like a lot of people who were opposed to playing online sort of said like, oh fuck it, I'll give it a go. And they continue to play. Like I'm talking about the Rex that, play a lot at the Crown Casino. And then, someone tells them, John says, I can tell you every week numbers are declining on the apps. Okay, no, that's empirical evidence by John. No, that's fair. Yeah. But I mean, I've noticed on the prize pools too, it's also like, for example, PPP are combating on like multi-accounting and stuff like that. So that has an impact on things. But I would have thought that online poker would have been okay even after COVID, just because like a lot more people are used to playing online now compared to like I guess back then.
Well, I mean, all the live games, like all the live money is like going back into online, right? But ultimately, people are losing at a faster rate online if they're a losing player.
Yeah.
And they're not going to be able to like refill and reload. Right, like how much can you lose like playing live like 2-3 if you're getting like 30 hands an hour?
A lot
compared to someone who can like compared to like someone 5-tabling like 2-4.
No, that's
right?
true. Yeah. I think people might be surprised by live numbers when it comes back though. Do you reckon like is the Star open at the moment or is there no?
So right now, I think they have pokies open.
Right. Yeah. Also, there's no poker
tables. No. So you're allowed to degen on roulette, but you can't play poker.
Right, they're gonna have the plexiglasses soon, I reckon. Dude, once that happens, then I'm coming back. I'm coming to Sydney, man. I'm going for a road trip. I can come play some live.
Yeah.
No, it's cool. That's interesting. Okay, so pubs are doing 10. Also, pub poke, as in like pub poker, or like just no way. So you have pub poker tournaments. That's crazy.
Yeah.
How big are the buy-ins? You play cash at Canterbury. Do you play cash at Canterbury?
I don't really play live cash at all. So
what's cash at Canterbury? Is that like
online? Canterbury. I'm not sure where that is.
Is that like? Is there like a?
Assuming that's a place like where they run some games.
Is that Jez's filthy mullet behind?
I'm like the North Shore side of Sydney, so Canterbury is probably like pretty far for me.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that's in like the west.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, because that's actually, if they can wait. So if pubs can host 10 people, they can technically have like a cash game
Yeah,
going.
they can run pub tourneys.
So they can run cash. Oh no, but it's obviously illegal to run cash because like unless they have to rake.
Yeah.
Okay, no, that's fair. That's fair. I guess it's just a 1-1.
I mean, they have these like no rake like 1-1 games, right?
Oh, dude,
they end up being like 1-1, 2-4.
yeah. Dude, I played in Melbourne. So the first time I've ever played live PLO was at a 1-1 no rake pub tournament, like pub poker. And when you say pot, you literally can only bet what's in the pot. So they like, you know, when you repot them, they literally just count the pot. And so I was trying to explain to them how like pot works. The guy's like, "Young bucko, don't try to explain to me. This is my game." And he was telling me, and I was like, "Okay, I'm sorry. Like, yes, I pot." So like $7. And it's just like it was.
Oh no.
Yeah, nah, dude, it was an interesting game. Lots of pot commitment. But yeah, I guess what I actually kind of want to talk about. I know a lot of people have questions about this. The end is how to get better at poker. So I guess there's a lot of ways you can answer this question.
Wow, so that's very very.
Yeah, that's very vague. But I guess so. I thought about this. I guess I know. Sort of, you coach people and sort of approach things. You like, sims and whatnot. And I actually looked at your site. You had a module. I had a quick look at it. Maybe explain to me, I guess, how if people like are on a sort of limited budget, they don't really want to coach.
Yeah.
But they have to pay. I guess how do you? I guess. Like
assuming they have. At the moment, like there's a lot of free content out there for poker. Like even I have a YouTube channel with probably like 30 hours of like me playing, a bunch of content on there. There's a video on like how to become a poker pro that I've made as well.
How to become.
I'd break down like improving or getting better at poker into a bunch of different categories, right? So first of all, there is the mechanical aspects of the game, right? Which is just like what to do when you're in game, what size to bet on like a certain board, right? That's the very like strategy, like very, well, not strategy, it's very like tactical. It's like chess, right? You get one board texture, you're just like, all right, I will c-bet this size. And then I get this turn, I'm going to bet like overbet this turn or not overbet this turn. That's the tactical side of the game. The strategy side or the more macro stuff is understanding the theory behind why you do things. So understanding, okay, why play a hand in the first place, right? Like if you get dealt, pocket kings, why do you play pocket kings? And when should you ever like fold kings pre-flop? Right? Like just understanding the math behind the game, the blinds, like all the structures, and where your incentives lie.
So where can I guess where do I learn this theory? Like I understand, and I agree with that actually. A lot of people, I actually talked to Jane, Daniel's girlfriend. I was talking to Dan. It's like Jane started straight off doing sevens, but I was like, that means she doesn't understand how the fundamentals of the game works from like a purely mathematic. Like if I bet pot, you need 33% to call. How many combos do you need? So
there's like specific like math, like pot odds is a good example, right? If someone bets $1 and you have to call $1 to win $2, like how often do you need to win to like make that call?
Right. So the question I have is then, do you think that's crucial as part of your development, or can you just jump straight into Sims? Because a lot of people who are learning poker now are just jumping straight into Sims. Do you think like
You can jump into Sims, but you're going to cap yourself.
are you going to
because
cap?
you're going to get stuck in terms of like where to progress after you learn a certain sim. So if you're just learning, all right, like one of my videos is like how to play like King 6 Deuce Rainbow, right?
Yeah.
I could do a dive into like all the technical aspects of that board.
Yeah.
But at the end of that like video, right, I'm showing you these conclusions that you can draw and how you can apply it to like different scenarios and why you can apply it.
Yeah.
Right. So you can learn a lot from Sims, but you also have to think about the why. Right.
Yeah.
You don't want to just copy a sim and be like, oh yeah, that's the end of it.
Yeah.
Like
No,
Pio
but yeah.
says
Okay.
to
Yeah.
bet my King 6 offsuit 25% of the time. Right.
Okay, let's have a look. Apparently, someone said playing perfect GTO in Z will result in losing as you really are not playing perfect GTO style. I mean, that's.
I mean,
If you're playing perfect, I don't think so. I'm going to disagree.
So
with
if
that.
you just play a strategy that is
I think so.
fundamentally better than someone else's strategy, you will win money. Right? If you're trying to play 7 deuce off under the gun, like, and the other guy doesn't, your 7 deuce off is going to lose every time you play it.
So you reckon so you should be studying fundamentals? I guess like okay. So the thing is, studying Sims is not easier, but like it
feels like you're getting more out of it.
Yeah.
But you're not really.
Yeah.
Like I was coaching someone yesterday, and they're like, "Oh, I just like realized I'm completely wasting my time. Like, can you teach me how to actually go through a sim and like extract information from it, right?"
Yeah.
So he was like, his study was like, "Oh, just stare at like a grid for half an hour and see if anything clicks."
Yeah. No. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I don't study anymore because I don't play that much. But when I was studying, I was doing sim work at the start of the year. So essentially, all I did was I kept changing like one variable and just to see how like the results changed, to try to see like what Pio was doing. But I guess a lot of what I did made sense because of also like the fundamental work I did like way before that. Because I went the other path where like I didn't really sim or anything up until like maybe last year. But yeah, it's just really interesting to see like a lot of people's approach, because I know Scott started simming straight away too. Obviously, Scott's really good now. But yeah, I guess it's just.
But the way Scott goes and approaches simming,
Yeah,
is he goes and spends like an hour on like every board.
Yeah.
Right, and just breaks down exactly every single combo and basically tries to like memorize a lot of the solution. But even then, he still tries to extrapolate and think about like other factors. Like for example, if you're playing against someone, you know that they don't free bet enough.
Yeah.
Like when you open the button, like how should you adjust? And if so, how much should you adjust?
Right. Yeah.
Like you could start by overfolding once you get free bet, or you could start by opening wider. Right? There's different things to consider. It's like, oh, if he doesn't free bet enough, then all of these hands are supposed to not make any money start making money.
Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. I'm just having a quick. Whoever said that fucking thing. So interesting to cause you to burn out quicker.
Yeah. I feel like studying like with solvers is kind of like it's like one of those like new like traps built into like poker now.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, all you have to do is just like run sims and you're good.
Yeah.
But that's not really like correct, because if you're not actually good at the game, the things that you put into the sim are completely different to like what I put in, right?
Right. Yeah.
I'm gonna build a Pio tree, right? And I tell you to build a Pio tree for the same spot.
Yeah.
You're gonna put different bet sizes to me.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Right. You're gonna solve it down to a different level of exploitability.
Yeah.
Your pre-flop ranges that you assume the other guy has might look different unless you're using like GTO.
Yeah.
And if you're using GTO, then like the conclusions you draw might be completely wrong in like a river spot because you fucked up pre-flop.
So I guess how do people make sure that like they're running them correctly in the first place. Then it's like,
well, it's difficult because to like correctly run a sim, you have to make good assumptions about how people are playing before the flop, what sizes they're going to actually use, and then like when you think about it, like the whole simming process is just written with assumptions.
right, yeah. No, that makes sense. So then, do you just? So I just have mine. Like I have all my ranges that, like the GTO ranges that I've given. I just
Yeah.
use those, which I guess,
Mhm.
if you think about it, could
Which
be
is like fine, right? Now you learn how to use like kind of a GTO
yeah,
set of ranges.
yeah,
But what if the guy you're playing against doesn't free bet to 11 big blinds, he free bets to 13?
yeah, yeah. Okay, that's true. I mean, I guess yeah,
Right? Then his range when he calls is going to be different. So
yeah.
your single raise pot bottom versus big blind all of a sudden is completely different.
Right, yeah, yeah. Okay, that's really interesting. So then I guess how the question is then, how can how to best simplify this process
So
to
you
like,
have
yeah,
to make assumptions, right?
yeah,
So the most accurate assumptions you can make are to data mine hands.
right,
Right,
okay,
so I would always suggest people to like become more analytical in their approach and become a lot more relevant. So if you're gonna be like, all right, like what's the big blind range for this spot,
yeah,
right? The if you're playing on ignition, the best thing you can do is just like data mine and be like, all right, like population as a whole flats
yeah,
this type of range.
right, yeah,
And then now you've got a strategy that just plays against like what the most accurate representation of a range will look
yeah.
like rather than GTO.
That's actually a very fair point. And you can buy like pop ranges and stuff like that. But yeah, okay, let's have a. There's
Yeah.
quite a lot of chatter.
Mhm.
It's got some pretty intuitive player too. Can you, what adjustments to make playing live 2-5? Okay, that's the first question. What adjustments do you make to playing live 2-5, Aaron?
Well, like there's some very obvious things to instantly think about, right? You've got the rake structure in live poker, which is higher, which makes you want to play less hands pre-flop. And then you've got uh, prevalence of larger open sizes in like most live games. So instead of opening to like 2.5 big blinds like everyone does online,
Yeah,
like people are opening 3.5x, they're opening 4x, they're
yeah,
opening 5x. Stack sizes are sometimes deeper. So in general, yeah, like you'd want to play tighter pre-flop, but there's a counteractive argument to that, which is if you're playing against people who are just too loose, then you can actually play a bit wider.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so like the question is, you brought a really good point in terms of pre-flop raising. So obviously I'm a mega nit when it comes to live poker. What are your thoughts on sizing? Because I changed my mind on this a lot playing live poker. Like I went from raising really big to
Yeah.
then going like super 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 small, and then like going somewhere in between now. Because I felt like I was playing fewer hands, and then like I was opening a really tight range, a really strong one, so I was opening bigger. And people were calling, as in like people's calling range doesn't really change if you go
Yeah.
2x to if you go like 4x. So like I just
Mhm.
went, I was like, fuck it. If I'm going to be a nit, I might as well just 4x people. At
Yeah.
one point, I was thinking that. So what are your thoughts? I guess playing
So
live.
you just open as large as people like will continue and play tight is a pretty good strategy,
And it's large.
right?
Okay, yeah. So like
So
so
if
yeah,
if you're gonna open like let's say you're under the gun, right?
yeah,
And you're opening 8% range
yeah,
in a full ring game,
yeah,
and you just open to like 6-6,
yeah,
and someone in the big blind looks down at Jack 10 offsuit and decides to call,
yeah.
right? Is that going to be profitable for them to call Jack 10 offsuit? No,
But they fucking
right?
do it. They do it. So
So
like, yeah,
yeah, like so what happens is like you just want to build a pot with like strong hands and
yeah.
just play solid.
Yeah. So this is how I understand the pool. People under 3-bet and people call too much. So
Yeah.
it actually
So
incentivizes you to go
if
bigger.
you're against aggressive opponents who are like, oh, he's like opening big, I'm
Yeah.
just gonna play free bet or fold,
Yeah.
right? Then that's a bit of a counter to you
Yeah.
because now you're like shit, like I'm putting in 5 or 6 bigs and then just folding to free bets.
Yeah. Okay, so I actually and then okay, so I actually that brings another question that I have about. So obviously in online, I only 3-bet or fold when I'm facing an
Mm-hmm.
open.
Yeah.
Um a lot of people flat after someone RFIs and you flat behind. And I've had this discussion with a lot of online players who say that's really bad. But do you actually think flatting, I guess, in a high rake structure, which is what live poker is that actually bad, or do you think it's
it depends on who you're playing against, right? If you're playing against a pool on average that makes a lot of post-flop mistakes, then it's completely fine to flat, even if it's to a big size.
Yeah.
If you're like in position, right?
Yeah.
If you're out of position, like flatting is also still not going to be like that profitable because like no matter how good you are, if you're out of position and someone's in position, like and they have a stronger range than you, you just lose.
Right. Okay. So flatting is fine. IP. Like let's just say like a lot of the times like someone opens, I'll have like 8s or whatever, and I just at one point I was like always flatting, and then I sort of changed my mind to like I'm only going to play free bet or fold.
Yeah. So then, I mean, the other thing is like, are you getting raked pre-flop or post-flop?
Pre-flop.
If you're getting raked pre-flop, then that changes your incentive slightly because regardless of whether you free bet or call, you're getting raked.
Right. Yep.
Oh. So,
yeah. Okay. I see. So one of your incentives, because in online you didn't get raked pre-flop, so that's why it's 3-bet or fold because you take it down pre.
Yeah, exactly. Because if you're playing online, you free bet, you take it down, you don't get raked.
Yeah.
Unless you're playing on GG Poker.
Oh, is it raked pre-play GG? Okay, fuck GG Poker. I mean, I didn't mean that. Please sponsor me. But like, that's interesting actually. Okay, cool. Yeah, because I've had this discussion with a lot of people. I talk about it with Wilson a lot because he plays a lot of live poker. Then I talk about it with like online. It's terrible. So I'm somewhere in between. But it's reassuring that you think it's okay. Alright, Mickey says, what's a good ROI rate and how many bets can you? I mean, look, I think if you can make 3% ROI in a market where you can get large volume, do it for. That's how I've always viewed it as. I think 3%, anything above 3% in a large good market where there's lots of volume is like very. That's me.
3% is a very good ROI if you're turning over a lot. So there's always this like balance, right? Like, do you want to just be a nit and only take really profitable bets, or do you want to try and take everything that's like plus EV?
Yeah.
And there's a line that you have to draw. For me, that's like if a bet is like less than what I think is like 1% ROI, I'll probably skip it just because the sample you need to realize a 1% edge is like tens of thousands of bets.
Yeah.
At 2%, it's like a good sample is going to be like, with less than 10K bets. At 3%, each extra percent in ROI reduces the amount of like bets that you need to make to realize your EV.
Yeah, I'm actually going to show you guys a quick thing that I used to prove this. The numbers Aaron was just going through just then. So if you go on Prime Dope, just Google like Prime Dope like calculator. So essentially this is a tournament variance calculator, but you can actually use this for sports betting. So let's just say there's like you're betting on a horse, and then you can say how many horses there are, what it pays, like only one person, like winner takes all, what the buy-in is. You can actually see like what all the possible tree paths of like your sample is. So let's just say you've done 1,000 bets and you've won like 2% ROI. You can actually see if you're running at above, below EV. And I remember, Aaron, do you remember me doing this in dogs when I lost $1 billion?
Yeah, I remember showing you this like first time. I was like, Aaron, are you running bad on dogs, or are you just like, making neg bets?
I was like, Aaron, I'm bottom one. I remember.
Yeah.
But this is a really good. And if you want, DM me. It's 200K a month. I mean, if you can get 200K a month, what? Even one, plenty. I mean, it's good enough to make like. Mike is cutting out.
I mean, 200K turnover at 3% is good.
Oh, that's good. Yeah,
that's pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, if you can get it, and then also, it depends on. Okay, so 200K a month. It depends on how big your units are. If you're betting $1,000 units, 200K a month isn't that much, but it honestly depends on volume. And volume is more important from like I think number of bets is more important than like dollars bet, because the thing is you can scale your dollars bet, but like you need to be able to find a market where you can get lots of volume in terms of actual bets in, and then as you make more money, you can just scale it and you can bet more, like, or you can get like people to invest you, etc. Can we possibly talk about units and Kelly?
Okay.
Yeah, I'm actually going to open up the floor to questions. So if anyone else has any questions, poker or sports betting related, feel free to just write it in. I'll like read them out later. But yeah, can we talk about units and Kelly? Yeah, we can. You go first, Aaron.
Cool. With regards to like sizing, Kelly's a pretty good formula in terms of maximizing bankroll growth. It's not a good formula in terms of like how much variance you experience if you bet using it.
So maybe
So
actually take it a step
general,
back. Maybe take it a step back and explain what Kelly is.
Kelly basically tells you, okay, the more edge you have on a bet, the bigger you should bet. Right?
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense.
And there's an actual formula
say you're
for
like, let's say someone gives you aces versus kings, right? And you can bet anywhere between 0 and 100% of your bankroll on a hand. How much are you gonna bet?
All of it, every dollar.
Right. So if you bet every dollar, well, guess what? You know, like 18% of the time,
you're busto.
GG. Right.
Okay, so so Kelly essentially, it's an actual formula where you calculate like your perceived edge, your bankroll, and it's like probability of winning, I think it was, and then it spits out a number that you should bet on.
So you want to go to this link?
All right, let's do it. Sure. I don't recommend betting Kelly because my problem with Kelly is your edge that you think you have might not necessarily be the actual edge that you have. Yeah. Right? So when
this is an actual like Kelly calculator.
Gambling.
Yeah. So you put in your roll. Let's say your roll is like 1K or whatever.
$1,000.
You have aces versus kings, right? And you're getting off a flip.
Sure.
Okay, so you're getting 1-to-1.
Unsure.
So
probability of winning.
I think it's just like one. Yeah. So your chance of winning, just put that in, and then you can bet any size you want between like all in or like nothing.
Right? Sure.
So if you click calculate, it will basically tell you what that number should be. Right.
What? $640. What a fucking myth.
Yeah. So you don't want to go all in, but you want to bet. So Kelly would tell you to bet most of your bankroll.
64% of your bankroll's I've actually never seen a 64% bankroll bet. Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah.
So that's aces versus kings. So next time some guy walks up to you at the cast and he's stuck, hey, let's flip aces versus kings.
Yeah.
Now all right, I'll put like 63.9% of
Okay, so I use the concepts of Kelly without actually following Kelly. So I might do a percentage Kelly. So when I was doing NBA, I was doing 20% Kelly. So whatever Kelly told me to bet, I would bet 20% of that. So reasons. Like I said before, the perceived edge that I have might not necessarily be the actual edge. And if so, you don't want to be overly aggressive because you can actually, like, Kelly's a very aggressive formula when calculating units. Go busto really easily.
Well, you can never go busto with Kelly.
No. So this is the next part
unless you can't bet like 1 cent.
This is the next part of why it's important. So with Kelly, every time you lose money, you need to readjust your roll. It's always a percentage of your roll. So let's just say your gambling roll is $1,000. You bet $640, and you're like, oh fuck, I lost, and now I have like $360. The next time you get aces and kings, you actually have to go, okay, I only have $360 now. But what happens is, someone's betting, let's just say on Kelly, they lose, because obviously you're never betting like that this much of your roll. But they might lose a bet, they'll lose like 10% of their roll. They won't readjust their roll. They'll continue betting off the same bankroll that they had. And then that way it's really easy to go bust. I'll do 5% my fair value. What site is it? I think Aaron linked it above. I'll be in research.com/Kelly. But yeah, I think if I choosy, I would I would follow the concepts of Kelly, which is essentially the bigger your edge is and the bigger your bankroll is, the bigger you should bet. And also, or like the odds, you'll see if the odds of you, so the probability of you winning drastically changes how much of your roll you put. So for example, if it's the other way around, like 20% win rate, which is like quite reasonable, in a lot of the bets that you do in sports betting, getting like fucking 6-1. Like
Yep.
the total bet's $66, right? And this is like a realistic, this is a pretty realistic scenario of like you're getting 6-1 on your odds, and you're only you're a one in 5 to win, and it's only telling you to bet 6% of your roll. Even though this is quite big, but yeah, I think a lot of the times you'll see. I think it's good to take the concepts of Kelly and apply it to your betting, but not actually follow Kelly unless you're 100% sure the ROI is. But that's also
you have to give room for error.
Yeah,
basically.
Yeah, because I promise I would have gone busto many times if I followed Kelly. But I went, so to be frank, I did 20% Kelly, and I went on a downswing that was 30% of my roll at 20% Kelly. So that means if I followed full Kelly, I would have died. I would have lost I would have gone busto. Yeah, so that was my largest downswing. I lost like a third of my roll, and I was like, holy shit! I was doing 20% Kelly, and I lost so much. But yeah, that is my experience with.
Yeah.
Kelly assumes your edge is constant. It's true. Key is assuming you know how out the fair value of down. For example, Panthers. Do you bet NRL, Aaron? Do you bet on NRL?
Not at the moment. I joined in the Discord a few times with Jez and put a few bets in, and then I was like, nah, I'm out. And then I heard Barney went on a downswing and NRL.
Yeah, dude, I went on a pretty I went on a
thanks.
pretty sizable downswing in terms of I don't know, NRL is just it's an interesting sport because with something like AFL, which is something I'm used to betting, people score goals so often, but then with NRL, it's like the outcomes are so as in people don't score tries that often, which is what we were betting on.
Yeah.
And then it's just interesting because obviously when Daniel bets disposals and stuff, or whatever he bets, all the other stuff, there's so many, the volume is really large in terms of the numbers. But then when it's either they score or not to score, it's very binary, and that was interesting. But yeah, I mean, I think what they're doing is good. It's interesting. It's just yeah. How about both of your opinion on the importance of models? Are you talking about skill betting versus okay? I personally, okay, I'll go. You can go first. You can go first, Aaron.
Yeah, well, I mean, with sports, most people bet based on feel, I'd say. Most people actually haven't thought about okay, what's the actual probability of something occurring? What odds am I getting? Is that a profitable bet? So models basically help you because they identify potential opportunities for making money based on a certain set of things that you're assuming. So let's say we're playing, we're looking to bet on something like basketball, player getting a certain amount of rebounds, for example. The whole process of doing that would be oh, let's watch LeBron play. He got 10 rebounds the game before. I'm gonna bet that he gets at least 9, right?
Yeah.
At 1.8.
Yeah.
That might be that's the most basic form of statistical stuff, right? It's just historical data. The next step is to go and look at all the past games that LeBron has played for the entire season, or in his entire career, and then get a estimate of that.
Yeah.
Right. Most people don't even look at that. They're just I like LeBron. I want him to make more than 10 rebounds.
Yeah, Daniel. Okay, no. So I agree. So I think my take on this is people get really hung up on the word model. So a model can be really simple, right? And to answer your question, I think models are really important, cheesy. So you have to have some methodology that's scientific in how you're sports betting. So you have to have a theory, and then you a hypothesis, and you have to test that hypothesis. And it can literally, I reckon, a lot of our models are just Excel sheets with just a bunch of data, and we do very simple calculations on. And these models are what a lot of these models are winning, right? You don't need to build something that's super crazy. And it's just being able to prove mathematically that what you're doing generates EV. So I think that's required in sports betting unless you're like very, very, very good at the sport. And like, for example, I know that John and you guys do skill betting for League, and like that's I think it's
But even then, like we're
yeah,
looking at data to make those bets.
yeah, actually, yeah.
Right?
So
We're not actually, we don't have a model which is like, oh, this model says this bet is like this much EV. We're more just looking at data and getting numbers
yeah,
and then making decisions based off those numbers.
yeah,
So you don't actually have to have a model when you're betting,
yeah,
but you should always be analytical in your approach.
yeah. Damn, all in.
Yeah.
No, okay. So like,
Yeah.
so then, but then I agree with that, Aaron. If you're very disciplined and very like analytical and true to yourself in that aspect, but then it like people will be like, oh yeah, I'm being analytical, looking at all the odds, and this price is
Yeah.
this bookie
They
has the
just
best
like
odds.
feel like it's a good bet.
Yeah, but then it becomes
Right?
really
But then the intuition might not actually like work long term.
yeah, correct. So
Like
like
when most people start out, they're like their intuition's like, oh, this is a good bet, I'm gonna
yeah,
take it.
yeah.
And then at the end of the day, they're like a losing sports better.
But the thing is, it's impossible because of variance. Like when
Yeah.
you win, you think you're winning, and when you lose, you think you're running bad. And that's the issue that I have with like people who are sports betting in a non scientific approach. And like Cheesy, for example, says he's analytical but no model testing yet. And like I think it's just getting stuff on paper, just getting numbers on paper is super like beneficial in terms of just like visualizing how everything works. And then when you're just like looking at numbers, you can just test all this different things. And I think it doesn't. You can literally do like for example, I can share this because I think it's whatever. I had a friend tell me a theory that apparently, if you bet on every single underdog the first 5 weeks of AFL and NRL, you like if you just blind bet $100 every underdog. And I was like, that's crazy. Like, how can that be? And then that was his like he just said like he had a hunch that's how like because underdogs were mispriced. So I was like, cool. And he's a sharp, so like he sports bets like and he makes money doing it. So I tested this theory and I literally just got every single game for like since 2010 to like 2020 or 19, and I did first 5 rounds. I looked at all the odds and I literally just did a blind test on my Excel sheet where I wrote price of underdog, bet underdog, and I did result, and I just summed the column. That was my model, and like it returned like I think it was like 12%, which is like insane. And then so what I did was the next part of my model, I did let's just assume that I ran a test that said like let's just assume that like what is the like I did like the prime dope thing for example. I'd be like what is the probability that like this outcome can occur if I'm actually just like am I just running good or like is it likely? And the tree path shows you that it's very likely that it's winning. So like, this whole process is like it's a model, but it's a very simple one. Literally just do a like you just literally just write like bet underdog some result, and then like that's enough statistical evidence to like be able to bet on this model. And then yeah, it's just things like that. I think people overcomplicate.
Yeah.
People overcomplicate like what obviously there are very complex models. Don't get me wrong. There are models that are crazy. That it's like Pyro Solver, which is also very good and like something that if you get into like deeper, something that's good. But yeah,
Yeah, definitely. I think you can relate a lot of this to trading and investing as well. A lot of the time, people are like, okay, like I want to get into trading. Like, how do I get an edge
yeah.
in the market?
Shiro
And
Poker just raided us. Cheers,
oh,
guys. Cheers for the raid. Well, anyway, sorry, keep going, Aaron.
yeah, so going back to what I was saying, if you're just basing like a trade off like a hunch, like, oh, I'm gonna buy like Amazon stock because I like Amazon, right?
Tesla.
That's not really generating like very like that's not a very good process of like
Yeah.
investing. Like a better process would to improve on that would be like Amazon's stock price is this at this point in time. They're generating this much in revenue and they're gonna project to generate like this much in the future.
Yeah.
what's the fair value of like a stock. So there's like stock pricing models that you can look at to understand that, but that's also just going to be limited to like how much data you input into your model. So there's always going to be a limitation into like how much things you can put in, because you can't make a model that perfectly accurately represents every aspect of whatever you're trying to model. So a model by its very definition is, not going to represent whatever you're trying to model.
Trump has corona. Are you trolling, Jez? Or is this? Oh, it's serious?
Oh no.
Oh shit!
It's over.
Betfair market is
Betfair,
suspended. All right. Jez bets, as you guys would know, Jez bets.
Yeah. So I actually have a bet on Biden.
Oh, you have a bet on Biden also?
Yeah, I've got like 600 on Biden.
Oh, you have 600. What was Biden paying?
So I got Biden at 1.93, and then I bet again yesterday at 1.7.
What are you basing the? Okay, so this is a really interesting.
So why was I betting on Biden?
Yeah.
Like, here's the thing.
Yeah.
So I know that in general, that a certain exchange, I don't like a lot of people will know the name of this exchange.
Sure.
Is a better accurate representation of the true price of something occurring than like Tab.
Right. Okay. Yes.
So, based on what I think the market is saying, I think that Tab was wrong in setting their line.
Okay. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, so you just piled on Tab.
Yeah, I just piled on Tab.
Yeah.
Because I knew that this other site was offering a worse price for Biden.
Yeah.
And the other site would not offer that unless it was like.
Yeah,
unless it made sense.
Yeah, okay, no, that makes sense.
And then I also went and looked at Trump, and I realized that the way Tab was pricing their book is like, oh, they want to give you worse price on Trump because maybe people who use like Tab.
Wait, did you bet this recently? Did the price drop? Okay, you know what, chat? No, this is our tip of the day, chat. All right, let me. Is betting suspended? Is betting suspended on the bookie? The question.
Mm-hmm.
Tip of the day,
so
guys.
I remember checking like yesterday.
What you get Biden?
I bet at 1.7 like a few days ago.
Bro, it's 1.57 now. Biden is.
Yeah. So I'm sure the price has dropped even further. But the point of this is like you can gamble on like anything you want as long as you understand like how an edge can be gained.
Yep.
Right. I'm basically saying, all right, Biden is gonna win like more often than the odds I'm getting. So if I've got it at 1.93 and Tab's now offering 1.57, even if you factor in like juice into your bet, like you can tell 1.93 is like clearly a good bet because the market's like moved.
Are you gonna hedge out? Or you...
So I can't hedge out at the moment because betting is suspended. Right, on a certain book. Yeah. So I don't want to bet on Trump at 2.25 on Tab. Like fuck that.
Yeah.
And I can't click cash out because the cash out price is a scam.
Yeah.
Right, like I bet at 1.93.
Yeah.
And they're letting me cash out my $300 bet at 3.13, and
I got Biden at $2 and hedge while he hit 1.6 before debate.
Yeah. So I'm basing my decision off market movement.
What is the entire
market? It's the other thing, right? I could have bet on Tab and then immediately hedged my bet on the other side and made a guaranteed profit. That's called arbitraging. So the reason I didn't do that is I don't want to pay the like 6% commission that it will cost me to arbitrage. So that will erode my value bet.
I think okay, so to answer your question, there are the best way to make sure that you're betting on a market that's not like you just want to bet on a market that's really liquid. So
we bet on some manipulated markets as well.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Bet on the Bachelor.
Yeah, but then there's always but then I disagree with that because like there was a leak about MasterChef winning. We got on the wrong side of that. We got on Laura Sherrod. She lost.
Yeah.
So, I mean, to make sure that the more liquid the market is, the less likely that the entire market is manipulated. So I guess if you're putting if you're putting any, so this is my genuine advice. If you're going to put a very large bet on hold that in or like it's rigged, or whatever, don't be too aggressive with your betting unless it's a very market. If it's a very liquid market, it shouldn't be leaked because smart money would into the winner that's been like leaked, and it will push the price down. So if you're getting a winner at like, and it's like quote unquote, it's very unlikely for it. I think and I've just found this just because like there's been so many like Big Brother.
I mean, over time, it's like pretty obvious with certain markets. Like, if the price on something keeps dropping, that means that the outcome is more and more likely to be that outcome.
For sure, it was like so. MasterChef Laura Sherrod, the winner was $5.50 or something. But yeah, that obviously like we didn't think it was Question directed to Neuron. Why you play such a decent bet on The Bachelor? How much did you bet?
So,
Wait, how much did you bet on Aaron?
I can't remember. I think I put like 1.5K.
What? How much was it paying?
It's like paying,
Because
basically was like, oh, this is the result. So I was like,
no, but then like, how do you? Okay, John, how did you get the result?
But like the whole process of getting there is like you need to look at what the market's doing as a whole, right? So if you're looking at every single sports book and the price is constantly dropping on every book on this specific person, right? That tells you that there's probably been a leak in the information.
Yeah, but okay, so I agree, John. Most Australian broadcast has leaks, but the leaks are on both sides. So like they will give you the leak on both. So that's the problem with leaks, right? Someone's like people can do it to manipulate the market if they want.
I agree. So like what someone could do is technically they could pile on one side, push the price down, and then pile on the other side.
Yeah, so he's got to be careful, I think.
You have to look at the timing of what's happening.
Yeah.
Right. If it's occurring at a certain time where it's unlikely that the other book will like push the price the other way at all, then like, that something is pretty likely to happen.
Yeah. I think so for the most part, the market is generally too smart to have a leaked favorite that's like $10 or something for it. So it's just like if you get a leak and they're paying a lot, it's very unlikely that it's true. And that being said, it doesn't mean that it's likely to be like but if it's like so just be careful when it comes to stuff like that. I know I've bet on stuff that have been confirmed. But does anyone have any more questions to ask Aaron? I'm going to wrap it up shortly, maybe in the next 15 or so. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to ask. If not, I don't have any more on my list, but I'm happy to just chat about and everything.
Yeah, sure. I mean,
have you been on an upswing, Aaron? Have you been crushing the streets?
Well, I went on an upswing earlier, and then at the moment I'm on a bit of a downswing.
Yeah. Okay. That's very standard. Actually, I do have something I want to talk to you about. I know you're a really big advocate of meditating, and I remember we talked about this last year. I actually clocked 2,000 minutes of meditation sometime last month, which is I want to, I guess, because everyone's getting so good at now, and like everyone's like studying and whatnot. A lot of people neglect mindset, like studying and like mindset coaching. And one of the guys that I stake, he's crushing the games, right? But he has a really poor mindset. Like he has a weak mindset, I guess. And that sometimes leads into playing bad or not wanting to play or being scared. I guess. Because I'm assuming you would coach people that.
Yeah. So I'd say I spend a lot of time on mindset with people that I coach. It's one of like as I was talking about how to improve like at poker before, I didn't have time to mention it, but mindset is like another pillar of that.
Yeah.
Because if you're not able to like actually play the way that you want to play at the table, then how are you going to win money, right? So mindset is that gap between what people learn in theory and how people execute.
Right. Yep.
No matter like what they're doing in their life, right? Yep. If you're going to play like any kind of sport, if you're going to play any kind of game and you want to be competitive in it, or like in life in general, you need to have good mindset.
Right. But that's
Right.
quite
So
easy to
what
say, though.
constitutes good mindset? How
Yeah.
do you actually work on your mindset? Well, there are different processes behind it. One of the main processes is understanding the underlying beliefs that drive whatever action you're doing. So let's say you're on the river, you're in a spot, and someone's gone all in, and you don't want to fold, even though you know you're beat, right? What's stopping you from like clicking that fold button?
Right.
Right. That can be driven by a bunch of things like fear, right? That can be like I don't want to, like it can be a I don't want to get bluffed off this hand kind of feeling. So mindset basically just teaches you, well, like what I try to teach is be aware of like what you're experiencing in the moment so
Yep.
that you have control over like how you're going to act based on how you feel, right? Being able to identify thoughts as just thoughts rather than like, you, right? So disassociating thoughts with your sense of identity is
Yep.
like one thing that works.
Yeah.
What meditation teaches you to do is a bunch of other things as well. Like it's not just like, oh, focus better, but focusing is one element of meditation.
Yep.
I'd say start with, right, focusing on your breath, taking a breath in,
Yep.
taking a breath out. And you'll notice that just by doing that very simple thing, you've now directed yourself back into the present moment and away from all the other thoughts about the
Yeah.
future or the past.
That's
Occurring.
actually something. So I've been grinding a lot of Valorant. And in the very clutch moments, I find myself, like, for example, let's just use CS as an example. Like, it's like a 3v1, you plant the bomb, and then afterwards, I take a breath in, I take a breath out, and it clears my mind. And I'm like, okay, cool. What do I need to do now? And like, I agree with the breathtaking, and it's something that's really simple, that's really effective. That I have started doing because of meditation. I think you bring up really good appreciation. I want to touch on that a bit more. So one of the things in meditation, I did a. So it said, "What are you resisting?" And you would ask yourself that question in that exact way. So it wouldn't be, "Who am I resisting?" It's and it's the way you explain it in terms of disassociating. I guess it's sort of like that. I guess have a more. I feel like that's very powerful mindset, but that people don't really understand. Or I guess I want to cover that a bit more in terms of maybe give it a better explanation in terms of like to people who don't meditate.
So when you think about your current immediate experience, what's actually occurring in reality? Well, like right now, you guys are watching me talking on a podcast,
Yep.
David, but what your brain experiences can be something completely different, right? You could have some preconceived notions of who we are as people in the middle of a discussion, and that could have an effect on how you decide to interpret our information that we're presenting. You could actually be like, okay, this guy said this, I don't agree with this because of these like reasons, right? But those reasons might not be objective because they're coming from a place where you're listening to what we're saying and processing it in a certain way. So I, like, for example, can't have any control over how someone's going to interpret what I say.
Right. Okay.
Right? But so knowing that whenever I communicate, I want to be mindful of knowing that whatever I intended to communicate might not come across that way to whoever I'm talking to. Right. So that's the same thing with thoughts. Now, with thoughts, it's like, okay, my mind is thinking about this certain thing. Let's say I lose a pot. My
Yep.
mind's like, why the fuck did you lose that pot? I need to make that call.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But don't associate that with like me or like my concept of self.
Right.
Right. I am just like, okay, there is this thought of this occurring. and this is driving this like emotion to arise, right? So you just see yourself more as like a vessel where stuff happens.
Right.
You're a human being, and you have these experiences, you have these thoughts, and they come and go, and that's all that you are. You're not actually your thoughts,
Wow,
right?
that's
You're not
actually really,
actually how
yeah,
you feel.
that's really
So
deep.
at
Yeah.
any given moment, the person that I am at that moment is just based on whatever came up in the
Right.
past.
Okay. That's really, so I guess that helps you be okay with the decisions that you make
Yeah.
in game.
So if I
Yeah.
make a bad play, I'm just like, okay, the me at that time, right, made a bad play, but I don't associate that with me being a bad poker player, right? I just associate it with, okay, this certain thing happened, and that happened because of these like conditions.
Right. Yeah.
And you're aware of that, and you bring awareness to like why it happened, you'll be able to change the conditions with which like each hand is occurring.
Yeah.
So if you're playing a hand and trying to like watch a movie, for example, at the same time,
All the
you're
time.
going to be distracted and you're going to miss out on vital information.
Yeah. Okay. That's okay. So I guess this is true and important. I guess the question I have for people that are listening, what can they do? I guess how can they start bettering their mindset when it comes to like poker, when it comes to losing, etc. Yeah.
Yep. So ultimately, you want to change the way that the relationship you have with your thoughts.
Yep. Yep.
So one way to do that is to develop what's called a growth mindset. There's a book called Mindset by Carol Dweck. I highly recommend reading that as
Alright, I'm
a
gonna actually.
starting point.
Yep.
That will basically teach you to think about and approach life in terms of growing rather than in terms of fixed thinking,
Yep.
right? Thinking that, okay, like I'm like, for example, I'm good at poker just because I'm good at poker. Like there's a difference between identifying something and actually seeing like the process. So like you look at me now, I'm like, I'm a 500Z like crusher, right? Like when I stream, I just like play better than everyone else in the pool. And what you don't see is like how that occurred. You don't see the process of, okay, I started off at microstakes, I lost money, I won money, I spend time every day looking at the game, running like sims, like reviewing hands, thinking about how I could have played better. And then by doing that process over and over again, I got better at the game, and now I'm where I am.
Yeah.
So most people just see like what you are now, and they don't really see what you were before.
Yeah. Okay. So this is the
And
book
you
here.
can apply that same process to yourself, right? You might see yourself in a certain way right now where you're like, I'm just like a shit losing player. Or you might be like, oh, I'm just like an average reg, right? And that's a story that you're telling yourself.
Yep.
And as long as you continue telling yourself that story instead of doing what it takes to get better, you're just not going to make any progress.
Yep. Alright, I'm gonna actually, you know what? One of my goals this year was to read more books. That's been the only. So I've done a review on quarter 3 of the year. That's the one goal that I haven't made any progress. So I'm actually gonna fucking, you know what? And I'm gonna free roll you. I do not read this book. Wait. Okay, if I do not read this book by the end of the year, I owe you a dining experience worth $100. All right,
Okay.
that's my. I'm free rolling it. All right, so I'm actually gonna fucking buy this book after this point. Let's wrap up this with a question. Every single high stakes professional has most likely quit the game, other than a few. Not sure if it's longevity or playing poker. Because I guess I sort of am interested in this too, because I'm sort of at the point where, I sort of still enjoy. I know I do enjoy playing poker, but I don't know if I want to do it term. I guess. What are you? Yeah. What are your?
Yeah. Well, I mean, with poker, it's hard to sustain a certain level of play for a long time. If you're playing high stakes, especially, you have to be doing the same thing over and over again every day and improving. Otherwise, you end up falling behind and eventually you start becoming a loser. In terms of the longevity of the game, what's happening is the skill ceiling, the level of information saturation in the game is increasing. So more and more people have more and more access to information. Right. Eventually, at some point, especially with online poker, everyone's going to have software. People are going to be using RTA, right? How are you going to gain an edge if everyone's using RTA? Well, then it just becomes a game where you're trying to have a better bot than the other person.
Yeah.
Right. But poker is not like that when we're talking about live poker because you don't have access to RTA live.
Yeah.
So I would say that with online is going to start like declining at least at high stakes, but there will still be a lot of money to be made in the game for now online. It's going to end up shifting towards more live poker, especially when COVID finishes up
Yeah.
a bit more and people get back to their normal lives.
I think I agree with that. I think, like, honestly, RTA and this all exists right now. Like, how good the bots are, questionable, but like there are definitely bots that exist, right? And people using real time assistance. So I agree. I think the longevity of poker will in online. I don't think it's sustainable personally, based off what I've seen and information that I know. But I think live poker will always be around. In one way or another, it might be no limit hold'em cash might not exist in 10 years because it's dead and boring. But like tournaments, for example, and PLO, there'll always be a form of poker. So I think to answer your question, I think the longevity of online poker is kind of capped, in my opinion, in terms of its shelf life. But live poker will always be around, and you can always make a decent amount of money doing it.
Yeah. There
Yeah.
will be new variants of poker
Oh,
around.
for sure. Like short deck
If
came
you
out,
think
and then
about how poker started, most people played like 5 card draw.
I got started. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So yeah,
And then
yeah.
went to limit hold'em and so no limit.
Yeah,
You
and
know.
then slowly now, I think tournaments are gonna be like the thing, right? It just makes sense to me, like PLO cash maybe, and maybe tournaments, just because like everyone likes the feeling of. But then the problem with that is you're committed to a time, whereas where cash comes to play. But I think it will either be like short deck or something that's like more gambly, as hold'em, because you even see it in the casinos, like the regs that play, like the recreationals that play hold'em have transitioned to PLO. And like they just find it more fun. They find it more enjoyable. It's more gamble, and yeah. Okay, I'm actually going to answer one last question, and then I'm going to wrap it up. Is it more plus EV to be a professional sports bettor or a poker player? Maybe you go first, Aaron, because I think we have differing. Oh, we might have the same answer, but all right, you go first.
Okay, well, I mean, with poker, like poker is a lot more enjoyable to play for the most part than like crunching numbers and then betting on sports. The only fun part for me about betting on sports is maybe like watching the game and seeing.
Yeah, yeah. So
So
yeah,
in terms of like life EV, in terms of utility, like I'd say playing poker for me is like more enjoyable.
right.
In terms of dollar EV, I think that sports betting is more scalable. I think that if you're going to pick something where you have a higher ceiling, that would definitely be sports betting.
Yeah. Okay, so similar. I think sports betting is more plus EV, quote unquote, in terms of dollar, just because you can scale with it. The markets are liquid, and it's just like you're able to bet infinite on whatever market you want to. So I think in the long run, being a professional sports bettor is better. But with that being said, I think if you're starting off, you should definitely start off with poker if you're already interested in both. Just because when you start off sports betting and you're betting really small amounts, the hourly isn't really worth it. But to be able to, but you can win a decent clip playing like live poker, for example, small stakes. But that the part is you can do both, which is sort of what I do, right? I make money betting on sports and I make money playing poker. So I think yeah, it's just a mixture of both. But the long term scalability of sports, in my opinion. Yeah. Anti RTA can keep up with the software on chess. I'm gonna, yeah. I mean, look, I think That's debatable. Definitely debatable, and I'm not too familiar with it to know about how anti-RTA is happening. But yeah, Aaron, thanks for your time, dude. I really appreciate it. Always enjoy chatting with you. For those of you who missed the first part of this pod, Aaron's doing a coaching session for horses, and I recommend the strat that he's using. I've done it myself. It's very winning. So if you guys are interested, Aaron, can you just quickly link your thing on the chat? Yep.
Yeah.
Cool. So if anyone's interested,
I'll be
check that
running
out.
it at 12 p.m.
Yeah.
tomorrow on Saturday.
Yeah.
So just book before then. If you have any questions, you can message me on Instagram.
Yeah. Where can they find you on Instagram? Can you put your link tree here?
Yeah, sure. Neuron Solutions. Here you go.
All right. Yeah. So yeah. Hopefully this COVID thing ends because I want to. Hopefully you can come down for Aussie Mills, Aaron. We'll have a spare bedroom actually. Daniel, that motherfucker's moving out.
Oh really?
Oh well, no. He's thinking of moving out to live with Jane. So
Fair enough.
if you need a bedroom to stay in over the summer, come down to Melbourne. Hopefully Aussie Mills is on because fucking I just want to play tournaments, dude. I miss grinding. Yeah. I'm 100,000 booked this time. Fuck yeah, John. You're welcome to come too. Dude, you can crash on our couch when it's chill. But yeah, thanks for tuning in. I'm sure I'll chat to you soon.
Awesome. Good chat.
See y'all around, guys. Gang.